One of the most powerful yet neglected secrets to getting your prayers answered is you need to have a clear-cut, objective vision of what you want God to do in your life. Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the substance of things. Can y'all say things? Things hoped for. Too many times people don't have things in mind when they pray. And when they're using their faith, they don't have things. If you ask people, what do you want God to do in your life? Well, I like to be more happier. Well, how? Well, I don't know. I like to be a better person. Good. But how? I'd like to be healthier. In what specific areas? I like to be a bit more prosperous. How? No one has answers to that. And so often when people pray, they don't have a clear-cut vision of what they want to see God do in their life. They need to be specific. There was a man in the Bible named Bartimaeus. He cried out to Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus brought him forward and said, and listen to what Jesus says to this man who's blind. He's obviously blind. Jesus says to him, what do you want me to do for you? Well, isn't it obvious that the man wants to see? But Jesus doesn't let you get away with that. He wants you to be specific. And Bartimaeus said, I want to see. See, the moment he turned have mercy into something specific like, I want to see, then his prayers were answered. Some of you, you're asking God, bless me. Bless me in what way? Help me. Help me in what way? Have mercy on me. In what way? Heal me. In what specific way do you want to be healed? See, you have to be specific. Years ago in 1950, Dr. Cho, who once pastored the world's largest church, he was living in a very poor country in the 1950s. South Korea was very poor. He was a poor pastor. He just had a congregation meeting in a tent. Didn't even have his own building. And he was frustrated because as a pastor, he needed to have a desk to do his notes. He needed a chair and he needed a bicycle to go visit his growing congregation. So he prayed about it and asked God for a desk, for a chair, and for a bicycle. But after months went by, nothing happened. Finally, he came to the Lord. He said, Lord, how can I teach the people to trust you when you won't even answer my prayer on these basic needs in my life? And he says that the Lord spoke to him and said, the problem, Joe, is you don't tell me what kind of desk you want. There are a lot of desks that I can give you, but you're not specific. And the Lord told him, I want you to be specific on what kind of desk, what kind of chair, and what kind of bicycle. Because when I answer, I want you to know it was me that answered. Be specific. And at that moment, he said, oh God, I want a Philippine mahogany desk. And for a chair, I want one that's with metal frame, that's sturdy, that has rollers on it that I can move around and feel like a hot shot. And I want an American 10-speed bicycle with gears on the side. The moment he got specific, the answer came and the breakthrough came. I want to ask you, are you specific in your prayers? Well, later on, Dr. Cho started to prosper and he was preaching in a particular church. And after the message was over, the pastor and his wife came to Dr. Cho and said, would you pray for one of our sisters in our church? She's getting up in years. She's 30 years old and she's an attractive woman, but she can't find a husband. He said, sure, I'll be glad to pray with her. So he met this 30-year-old woman, and he says she was very attractive, but yet she couldn't find a husband. And Dr. Cho says, what kind of man are you looking for? And she said, well, any man that God sees fit to give me. He says, that's your problem. You're not specific. He said, let's sit down. He sat her down, took a piece of paper out, and said, here's a pen. I want you to write down what you want. She says, what do you mean? Well, first of all, what kind of husband do you want? Do you want an Asian, an American, a white man, a black? And she said, well, I like Caucasian. Write it down, a Caucasian man. Well, do you want him to be tall or short? Well, I like tall men. Well, write it down. Do you want him to be slim or do you want him to be a little stout? She says, no, I like a slim man. Okay, what kind of hobbies do you want him to have? Well, I like music. I sure would like him to like music. Write down he likes music. What kind of career do you want him to have? Well, I've always respected teachers. And he said, write that down. The moment he gave her a list of 10 things, she wrote it down. Then Dr. Cho says, let's close our eyes. Close your eyes, sister. Can you see that man? Envision that man. That Caucasian, tall, slim teacher who loves music. Can you see him? She says, yes, I can see him. And just then he says, okay, let's order him now. Let's order him. And in other words, let's bring it before God. The moment she got specific, within a year, she got married. What happened? A quartet came to the church, an American quartet. The three of the men were single, but this tall, slender man who was a teacher in America was the only single man, and all the young girls flocked to him. Yet, that young man was attracted not to the young girls, but was attracted to that 30-year-old spinster. And he ended up marrying her and moved her to America. See, friend, I believe we need to be specific in our prayers. Are you specific? Or do you just pray general prayers? Bless me, have mercy, help me, heal me. But you don't tell God specifically what you want. So here's what you need to do. Get a list out and write down your prayer request and be specific, as detailed as you possibly can make it. And then pray to God. Use your faith on that specific request.